Welcome back, folks. I'm Frizz, and today I'd like to take some time to talk about one of the brand new playtest classes that Paizo just announced, the Exemplar. Along with the Animist that I'm probably going to be talking about in my next video, the Exemplar is a class that's coming out in the War of Immortals rulebook. And yeah, the Exemplar is the most over-the-top class yet in 2e, which is really saying something. And that is also incredibly fitting, seeing as the Exemplar is the first rare class in the game. Exemplars are based off of traditional folk heroes and demigods, and they wield their own divine spark to create their own legend. Alright, so let's break down what the class even is. Exemplars are lightly armored martial characters who use their divine spark and signature icons to take down their foes. Generally, the class trends towards mobility and melee combat, though there certainly are options for ranged characters. There's a lot of options for ranged characters. The main feature of the class is their icons. Every Exemplar has 3 different icons: their body icon, their weapon icon, and their worn icon. Each of these provides a different power set, those being defensive, offensive, and utility-based powers respectively. And you get those so long as they're being powered by the Exemplar's divine spark. After all, basically every mythic hero has equipment or physical characteristics that are intrinsically tied to their story. At any given moment, your divine spark can be in any one of your icons, or it can be in none of them at all if you're going undercover. While it's in one of your icons, you get all of the imminence effects that icon provides, which does lock you out of being able to use any of the powers from your other icons. Also, every icon has at least one transcendence effect, which uses up the divine spark in the icon to grant a powerful effect, while moving the spark into a different icon. You're limited to using one transcendence ability per turn, but otherwise they're basically unlimited use. The overarching theme of the class is enhancing their icons. A large amount of Exemplar class feats and class features give your various icons additional imminence effects or transcendence abilities. The standout class feature that does this is Epiphets. Exemplars gain Epiphets over time. In case it's been a while since you've had an English class talk about the Odyssey, Epiphets are descriptors used for characters to tell you the most important trait of that character. In case, literary speak, it's in case someone in the audience hasn't been around for a bit and doesn't know a character's whole deal. In the Odyssey, this means that Odysseus is often referred to as Clever Odysseus. As Exemplars level up, they gain 3 different epithets that customize and boost their icons. The first epithet that an Exemplar gets basically just adds a rider onto any transcendence action that is associated with their body icon. Like, for example, running towards an enemy because they are capital B brave. Later on, they can get an epithet like Born of the Bones of the Earth that gives your weapon icon additional Earth-related abilities. And finally, you can get some incredibly wild epithets like Thief of Moonlight, which literally lets you steal the light out of other people's eyes to turn invisible. Epithets are super, super cool, and I'm so glad that they're a thing. They're an incredibly flavorful way of increasing your character's power. Honestly, that's the basic gist of the class, so now it's time for me to start talking about my opinions regarding the class, given that this is a playtest. In general, I'm a big fan of the direction that Paizo is taking with the Exemplar, though I have a couple of notes. In particular, the main criticism that I have is that a lot of the transcendence effects are really specific, which seems counterintuitive to the design of the class. For example, eye-catching Spot, which is a body icon, has an excellent imminence effect that makes enemies' melee attacks less accurate when against you, but the transcendence ability, which is the ability to potentially fascinate a target, just isn't very good for a lot of combat scenarios. It seems to me that the class overall is at its most interesting in combat when you end up swapping between different icons every single turn to get what you think is the best set of abilities for that turn. Super specific transcendence abilities seem like they'll get in the way of that because, well, you're not going to be incentivized to actually use that transcendence ability, because it's just not in the hyper-specific situation where it's actually useful. Outside of that general criticism, which can be applied to a couple different icons and feats, my main complaint is one that hopefully will just be addressed once the class is at a playtest, because Paizo just can't include everything in a playtest. For example, I really hope to see a weapon icon that is applied to unarmed strikes. Paizo has mentioned that there is going to be one and they just didn't add it to the playtest because it'd muddy the waters, but it's a concept that I'd love to see in the full release. In a similar vein, I think that there needs to be an option for the class to provide at least medium armor proficiency. With the key ability score being a choice between strength or dexterity, being able to use medium armor would mean that strength-based exemplars won't be at an inherent defensive disadvantage. Finally, I want there to at least be a sidebar giving suggestions or rules for how to change existing epithets to better fit different characters, even if it's just as simple as dealing a different type of damage with your epithet. After all, Paizo is not going to be able to include a list of epithets for every potential Pathfinder PC, so I think that it'd be a good idea to include guidelines for how to change what they're putting out to better fit your specific character. This is the most excited I've been for a class in a long, long time. The Kineticist was the class I hoped to see the most from Pathfinder 1e, but the Exemplar is completely new to me, and I'm really enjoying a class that's original in basically every way, and being able to look through that again. I've got a lot of ideas for potential Exemplars that I'd like to play, and, even Animists for that matter. And I'm really hoping that I can use them in the future in campaigns, whether or not it's part of the playtest. Thanks for watching. This was actually somewhat along the lines of a couple different predictions I've made regarding new classes coming out, so this obviously means that I should be treating myself like a prophet from now on. Anyway though, what are your thoughts about the Exemplar, and what changes would you like to see being made for it for the final version? Let me know in a comment down below, and while you're down there, you can always consider subscribing or joining my channel as a member. My members are wonderful people who enable my Pathfinder book edition, so join the enablers. Regardless, until I see you next, live a wonderful life.